Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rich Garling, and with two grumpy old men, and my partner is.
Tim Bagwell. How
How
you
you
doing,
doing,
Rich?
Tim?
I'm doing
I'm
okay.
doing
I'm doing okay.
good, good. So am I.
How are
So am
you?
I. And hey, tell me something. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about what I think everyone else is talking about, the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and all the interconnections of all these people, and the many cases, the many skirting of justice, and the uh, now what appears to be an attempt at a cover-up. It seems like a cover-up, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure
What do you
does.
think?
Oh, hey, definitely seems like a cover-up. There is all kinds of shenanigans going on here with this case. So why don't you give us a summarization? Kind of give us a rundown of events.
Yes, I was doing research on that this morning and pulled up a nice flow chart, created a nice flow chart. I won't share it here, but Epstein goes back all the way to 2005 through 2008 in Florida, where it began with a 14-year-old girl who shows up at her parents telling that she was molested by Epstein at his mansion. Then he's brought up on charges. It's really complicated. He has charges in 2006, 2008, 2007, the ongoing legal cases involving such names on his team as Alan Dershowitz and Alex Acosta, who will eventually become a Trump appointee. He pleads guilty, but only gets 13 months, and also is on kind of house arrest. So he got a sweet deal for a pervert.
You know, he sure did. He sure did. I guess what wasn't what the feds investigating this too?
Yeah, this is definitely federal and escalated to the federal level and sex trafficking charges and yeah, at that point ended with this plea deal. And if you dig deeper into it, you'll see that there's a bunch of deal making in the background, and a lot of it involving his ability to make these deals. Well, he knew a lot of powerful people.
So
Uh,
wait, so if
then
it's sex
in
trafficking
2018,
charges,
2019,
but Tim,
there's another arrest, and after Miami Herald exposes the flaws of the plea deal and the immunity deals, um, but he still ends up under federal charges. And in 2000 August 2019, um, can you hear me? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
August 2019, he allegedly commits suicide.
So let me ask something. If it's sex trafficking charges and the feds are investigating this, what what caused them to back off?
Lots of, like we've seen with Trump, lots of machinations, lots of pleas, lots of um, privilege, I would say.
Yeah, well, here,
Yeah.
yeah, here's my understanding of it. Is first, I'm thinking, okay, how did Epstein even get, even come into the picture of this whole thing in the first place? That, who is this guy? Okay, or who? I'm sorry, past tense. Who was this guy? Seeing that he's no longer alive.
Yeah.
All right, and I know that he had started out his life as a school teacher, believe it or not, and then
Quite
eventually,
believable if you think about where things go. Yes.
yeah,
Quite
and
believable.
then he moved into finance. Apparently, he worked for Bear Stearns, and then he started up his own firm. Okay, so he's got the money apparently, to do these things, and he he had a lot of relationships with a lot of different people, billionaires, politicians, and others, and that celebrities, and apparently owned a bunch of property. This is part of where the sexual solicitation
Yes.
comes in for the federal government because of the fact that he owned properties in Manhattan, Palm Beach, New Mexico, Paris. He even had two private islands on the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yes.
Okay, so he's moving around, in all these different circles, in all these different places, and this is this is where you have to, I guess, kind of tie in, the fact that um, uh, what is her name? Gazelle Maxwell.
Yes.
Okay,
His
and her involvement, Ghislaine Maxwell. My apologies, Ghislaine
Yes.
Maxwell. Okay, because apparently, she was found guilty of arranging a lot of these girls to go see him. Okay, and my understanding is back in 2005. That's when the Palm Beach police started investigating this. That's when that 14-year-old girl, as you said, talked to her mom and said, "Hey, this guy raped me." Okay, and so uh, and apparently there was evidence from more than just her. But for some reason, yeah, but for some reason, this guy ends up only being charged with solicitation of prostitution,
Correct.
even with all this evidence against him. These people who are willing to plead, on it. But so what they did is that for some reason, somebody in the federal government decided to let him plea on a lesser deal. Now, keep in mind, this is back in 2008. Who was president at the time?
Well, just had just elected. Well, it depends.
Oh,
What's
George W. Bush. George W.
Yes.
Bush was president at the time. Remember, Obama wouldn't come into power until 2009.
2009.
Yeah. All
Correct.
right. So,
Right.
so what they did is they offered him a deal. Said, hey, you plead guilty to 2 state charges, which is what the solicitation of prostitution comes into. Okay, and he ends up, and they make a non-prosecution agreement, what they call an MPA, with
Yeah.
him. Okay,
Exactly.
and that granted him, it not only granted him immunity from federal charges, but it granted immunity to potential co-conspirators. And at that time, the prosecutor in that district, in the Southern District of Florida, was Alexander Acosta,
Yeah.
who is now, by the way, Trump's labor secretary.
Secretary of Labor.
Okay, yeah. Now, my understanding, and this is stuff that I've heard in the news, that apparently, some of these billionaires, some of these politicians and everything, Trump, Bill Clinton, okay, and others. The names that I don't see in there are Obama and Biden. Who supposedly, according to Trump, came up with this Epstein hoax, and all this. But yet they're the ones, they're not listed on the list. And that,
Well,
and
just to clarify, Bill is in there, not Hillary.
yes, that's what I said, Bill Clinton. Yeah, Hillary's not in there. And, it still puzzles me as why she sticks with him.
But this is on the list, not necessarily of any codified list of clients who had received services in the form of underage or otherwise prostituted women. It's who had taken trips with, these are lists of men who had taken trips with Epstein, had a social interaction with Epstein at events and parties. And so we don't know anything about anything else other than that aspect of the list.
Okay, let's keep in mind that the folks here, we're only stating the facts as we have, as we know them, out there. We're not, attorneys, we're not prosecutors, we're not any of that stuff. We're just stating, what the facts are so far, out there. And our whole question here is why is it that such a deal was made? Now, my understanding too is that this deal, while it was made in the Southern District of Florida, there was the Southern District of New York that basically said, yeah, this does not apply. This only apply. No other district court can sit there and make an agreement that's beholden to other district courts. That's what the Southern District of New York said. And that,
More rigorous Southern District of New York.
but Maxwell,
Well
this
known
for
for prosecution of criminals across the board,
oh yeah.
regardless of their status.
Oh yeah, I agree. And this Ghislaine Maxwell is now trying to claim that no, that agreement should be beholden on all districts in the United States, and she wants to take that to the Supreme Court. You're like looking at this going, oh really? This is interesting. And also she's trying to use Trump's the fact that the President of the United States is saying that this is a hoax. Okay,
Right.
that should hold water for some reason or another. And so and she's trying to say to the courts, well, the president says it's a hoax, and it's a hoax. Are we going to say that we're not going to believe the president's word? And knowing this Supreme Court, they're going to probably try to find some wiggle room in there for all of this. But there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people. My understanding is that there's over 175 names, that the
Yes.
Department of Justice have listed out. Okay, and my understanding is that Trump, for instance, is like number 173. And who knows where Clinton is
Was
in
it
that list.
alphabetical? Was it,
You know, but being one of the nice things I've always said about the Democratic Party is that yeah, there might be a lot of crooks in there, but by golly, they prosecute them too. Even if they're our own.
well,
You know?
for those on the right who carp that there are Democrats, likely Democrats on the list, we say, I think you'll agree. Okay, put them in jail.
That's right.
Prosecute them, put them in jail.
Put them in jail.
That's
We don't accept that kind of stuff. We don't care who you are.
if they're found guilty of sex trafficking or sex with abusing underage minors, then I think you really have to call it abuse and rape, really, don't you? Because they're underage.
That's right.
And
Statutory rape, I believe, is
anybody
what they
who
call
does
it.
that, I don't care who they are, needs to be prosecuted.
Exactly. Exactly. And that and both of us, having been born and raised in Illinois, okay, it's like what state, we don't. Hey, we've prosecuted a lot of governors, and other people. We don't have a problem with doing that. If you're, you do something, you're found guilty, off to jail.
There you go.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and we don't care what
Well,
party you're from.
What I'm finding interesting is sort of it came into mind here the past few days with everything that's been transpiring. And this morning apparently he's Trump is doing things like trying to doing an AI posting showing Obama being arrested, and then
Oh
Tulsi
yeah.
Gabbard saying that yeah. So there's deflection happening again. They're trying to, but they don't have anything big enough to overcome this.
Well,
But
what was the charge he was
tell
trying to
about
come up
me.
with?
What?
What was the charge he was trying to come up with on that? He,
Well,
he was,
she was accusing him of Obama of treason.
yeah, for because of the
And then
Russian
something else.
investigation, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, on the election. But what has struck me, sort of in a free association sort of way, we forget maybe that we have Matt Gaetz was the original nominee for Attorney General, a man who himself is facing sex charges.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting choice, you know.
Yeah. We have all these sexual predators, run the government. you know.
Well, and then also able to give cover, able to give cover to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, and it's funny too, Tim, because what was it? Oh, what was it? I think they called it Pizzagate.
Right.
Right? Where the QAnon people were sitting there claiming, that there was this pizza joint, I think near Washington D.C. or something like that, that
It's not
supposedly was,
Washington, D.C.
trafficking
Out of the
kids.
basement, non-existent basement. Yes,
Yeah.
and run by the Clintons.
So what is QAnon saying now, about this whole situation?
You hear much out of QAnon. I'm not sure how that system works anymore. It seems to be some changes that have taken place. I'm not sure. But along with this, now I was trying to find this morning, did Trump pardon the Tate brothers?
Who are the
What
Tate
happened
brothers?
there?
Who are the Tate
The
brothers?
Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan Tate, social influencers, but also, they ended the travel ban. He didn't pardon them. He allowed them to come back to the United States. They're under sex trafficking charges in Romania and the United Kingdom. But they were under a travel ban, and he lifted the travel ban, enabling them to come back to the United States. So here again are two accused sex traffickers. I'll just leave it like that. I don't know all the other details. I don't know if they're accused of engaging in relations with underage people. Okay, but they are accused of sex trafficking and gang-related activity in Romania, and also charges in the UK. Actually, I think there are some sex charges in the United Kingdom. But yeah, again, if you're running this scam, and all these people, all the who knows what about who, you want to make sure that they get a deal
Oh yeah.
to keep their mouths shut.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
And yeah, you want to shut these people up. I mean, there's other people too that are involved with this thing. You have Prince Andrew, You have Alan Dershowitz. Let's see, who else do I have on my nifty little list here? I got Les Wexner, and that now he was known. He's apparently Epstein's only known financial client. Of course, he denies any wrongdoing, and he severed ties back in 2007. And then there's a guy named uh, Jean-Luc Brunel. He was a modeling agent and allegedly a recruiter. So he's one of the co-conspirators who gets protection. And that,
Uh,
but he's also dead, but that's okay. He apparently died by
right,
suicide in a French jail in 2022. Then there's
right.
somebody named Glenn Dubin, who uh, the young lady Goofrey. I don't know how to pronounce her name real well. Virginia uh, Gluffrey. Yeah, that's an L. Okay, Gluffrey, I guess. But she named him, and then of course Sarah Kellen, who was Epstein's assistant and another alleged facilitator. I mean, one of the words that I had heard was that apparently Epstein was throwing a party at one of his places. Trump shows up, and he was heading for this one door, and apparently was told, no, that's not yours. Yours is two doors over.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, interesting, interesting.
Oh my God. I mean, these people are something else, are something else. But I think the whole thing really does get down to, as you were saying earlier, is this protection thing that they're doing, and that
Yeah, yeah,
and all he
I
had to
mean,
do was go with this a plea to a state crime, and the state, of course, took it easy on him because who was Attorney General in Florida at the time?
Pam Bondi.
Exactly. Who's now the Attorney General of the United States.
Right.
Yeah. So, she knows her ass is going to be in hot water if she doesn't protect him and all this. And by the way, him asking for the grand jury testimony to be, made
It's
public,
ridiculous.
it's going to be about maybe 60 pages, contain absolutely nothing and all that. And he's trying to make it look like, well, look at me, I'm trying to be open. He's actually got a nice out in this, it seems to me, because even if it does come out, there's nothing there. Or B, if the court turns around and says, well, no, we're not going to release those because grand jury testimony is secret, all right, then he can point at the court and go, well, I tried,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
that so that it's interesting, and this is the kind of stuff that's running our country right now.
Right, right.
Well,
That and my dog barking in the background.
yeah, that and the dog barking in the background. And what kind of dog?
Yeah, something
Okay,
that
Tim,
the guy,
just out of curiosity, what kind of dog is it?
he is a poodle, a Wheaten Terrier.
Okay, all right, and then just for grins here. Yes, I showed up. We're not all serious all the time here. We might be two grumpy old men, but we're not totally serious. So here, let me show you this. If I can get this to move a little bit. Come on, baby. There
Uh, uh,
is Rocky.
ah,
Sound is. Oh, nope, the eyes are blinking. He's probably going to look up and ask for a
how old
treat.
is Rocky? How old is Rocky?
And Rocky is going to be 9 years old next month.
Uh,
And,
well, Charlie will be 10 years old or 11 years old next month.
oh, there we go.
Excuse me, in October. October.
Yeah, yeah,
Yet he still has he has puppy qualities, and he has stopped.
yeah, yeah. Well, Rocky is been slowing down a little bit, not too much, and that we've been giving him an aspirin every day, and that helps perk him up a little bit. Eases the pain. He's been having problems with his hips. Cavaliers are known for that, and that he's only expected his lifespan is really like maybe 11 or 12 years, and
Yeah.
but he's been a wonderful, wonderful dog. He doesn't like thunderstorms. Because, as we call them, thunderstorms are loaded with boom booms, and boom booms are firecrackers and fireworks and stuff like that.
Well, the fireworks and thunderstorms and vacuum cleaners do not bother Charlie for some reason, but the postman, the UPS guy, the Amazon people, and unfortunately, and this may have been what we just heard, is the Spire Gas Company, it's called Spire down here,
Uh-huh.
has been doing work on our street.
Ah,
And these guys might be out front right now. There's a large hole with a great metal cover over it in front of both of our, goes across two properties,
yeah.
in front of two properties. It's in the street. It's not on our property per se.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
that was
Yeah.
quite a bit. Maybe quite a bit of work going on out
Yeah.
there. So,
Now, if you hear
but
any,
yeah, with the go ahead.
if you hear any noise in the background here today, we had our bay window replaced, and that it used to have the case windows, the ones that crank out,
Yes.
and the problem is that our front porch, when you have those case windows open, it takes away a lot of space. So we can't sit out there with our rocking chairs and that and everything. So we decided that we would replace. Plus, the window leaked like crazy anyway, and so we decided to have it replaced with a new bay window, but with double hung windows instead, and all that. And so they're finishing up the work on it. And I'll tell you, when they put it in, and they have to finish off all of the fascia stuff, okay, for you.
Uh-huh.
And when they put it in there, when we closed all those windows, our neighbor's air conditioner is in behind their house, which is like almost dead even with the back of with the front of our house, and because we're set back from the road, the only house on the block really that is, and we could hear that air conditioner before with the windows closed. Now, not a thing. We're like, yeah, that's nice. Yes. So, I'm sorry, so we diverged there for a second. Let's get back to our topic.
Very serious topic. We after a very
Oh, it
serious
is.
topic.
It is. It
What are
is.
these people?
It's
What are these people up to? The Gates' stuff is not over yet. Maxwell apparently her stuff's not over yet because she wants to get it going again. And then I'm not sure about the Tate brothers' involvement. But it's curious that I think this is not the only. They're not the only people who have received favors from Trump who are charged with these kind of issues.
uh-huh.
As well as usually it seems like financial, because you got to apparently have money to be engaged, take the risk to be involved in this kind of turpitude or whatever you want to call it here. Is that would be that moral turpitude?
Uh-huh.
Certainly would be that. The extent of it, and this again gets back to the issue of whatever they're saying about us, they actually mean it's about that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They blame everybody else for what it is that they're doing. But in the hopes that they'll
Right.
distract us and we'll pay more attention over there while they continue to do the stuff they're doing.
Right.
Right. And yeah, that's a typical Trump trait. And that he very much will do that. The idea of charging Barack Obama with treason because they had done the investigation on the Russians, which by the way was started by Russians, well, not by Russians, but Trump's attorney general the first time round.
Yes.
All right, and it was just continued, into Biden's.
Huh?
Well, am I right, or am I got that backwards? I might.
No, so which one were you saying?
Okay, so the,
Yeah,
the original Russian
investigation
investigation,
starts
the,
the Russian
yeah, the original
investigation.
Russian investigation in the Russian interference into the election, was that not started under Trump?
Yes.
Yeah, back in 2017, he started that investigation.
Right.
Right, and
Right. Well, he tries to deny. It's like he says Jerome Powell, is a terrible pick. How could they have nominated him? It's like you were the one who
yeah,
nominated him.
right, right, and all.
Why are you jumbling up everything? You believe, and unfortunately, there are people who get facts confused. And so, if someone in authority says a factoid, what appears to be a factoid, about Jerome Powell, how could they have ever nominated him? He's terrible. Well, you're the one who nominated him. Why are you saying anything different?
Yeah,
And then the suicide of Epstein, that occurs not under Merrick Garland, but under Trump or under would have been Comey at the time. And speaking of Comey, then we have Maureen
Oh
Comey,
yeah, oh yeah. So there's two
who,
people here.
who was a prosecutor against
Yeah.
Maxwell, and she's fired. Obviously, they don't need her to cover for them. She's not one of the ones performing the cover. She's the one performing the prosecution, and it's really affected things in the Southern
So
District.
look at the dates here. All right, like you were just saying. All right, Jerome Powell, appointed by Trump in the first place. All Biden did was to reappoint him, kept him in there. Okay,
Right.
and Epstein committed suicide in 2019. Who was president at that time?
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
yeah, and everything. So really, there's two people in this whole thing who I feel have all of the information, have all kinds of information, and they want to keep them quiet. And one of them is Maxwell. Okay, she's got all kinds of stuff, and everything. And I think Trump knows this, but she's also afraid of the fact that she's going to spend a lot of years in jail. So that's why she's coming out with the argument that hey, this deal was made, with a district court down in Florida. It should apply to all district courts in the United States, and that's her argument before the Supreme Court. Okay, the other person who knows an awful lot about this, who, like you said, just got fired, and that is Comey, who happens to be the daughter of the former FBI director, Comey, and everything. So I see two things there. One, he wants to shut her up, and then two, I'm sorry, but the Republicans have this tendency, they can't quit beating that dead horse. Okay, they just keep going after it and after it and after it.
Well,
I've experienced this stuff myself, in my past, and I was always afraid that what they would do is they would go after my wife, and at the time I kept her a secret. I didn't want people knowing about her because I could tell what these people were going to try to do, and it not only happened to me, it happened to a few other people, in the town that I lived in at the time. So this is standard MO for these people.
yeah, yeah. Well, one of the things is that the Republican Party is known for being bankrupt of new
Oh
ideas.
yeah,
They don't have a new
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
No, they have no new idea. That's why they can't govern. Their new idea is destroy what has been
Yeah.
built. That is their new
Well,
idea.
and their old ideas, they know that their old ideas, nobody's buying. I mean, if they actually told the truth and came out and said to people, this is what we're really about, which, if you look at that
Yeah,
2025 document, that pretty much spells it out. This is what we're about. Nobody would vote for them. And they know that,
right.
which is why they denied any connection to it, and all they did when they campaigned was to sit there and bash other people. You know,
Right, right. And to stoke the flames of racism and division so as to have their people on the side of hate voting for them.
Yep. And this whole anti-Semitism thing, it's like really all of a sudden you're concerned about anti-Semitism, because that's what they're yelling at Harvard University about, what they're yelling at Yale,
Yeah,
Stanford, all these universities, they're screaming at them about all of this sort of stuff, and how many companies have acquiesced to Trump because he's got something over them, but the Wall Street Journal might be a different story here, in that because they're the ones that said that
yeah.
hey, he made out this birthday card. Why is he so upset about a lousy birthday card with a naked woman on there? It's like, isn't that locker room talk? As he so
Well,
claims.
uh, he's afraid of the game he's playing. That he's all the breakage that he's done, and he apparently doesn't care. Oh, it seemed he doesn't care. And then but there's the threat of a definitive attack. And I think all these guys always fear that. What will bring them down? There's always something that will bring them
Yeah,
down, you
yeah.
know. And this is
But did you hear the latest rumor
this
about
is
all this? Apparently,
excuse me.
apparently, our dear vice president, who, by the way, is the one person that Trump can't fire, all right, but apparently he went over and he talked with Rupert Murdoch in Montana.
Yes.
Okay, had a little conversation with him, and then the editorial came out, or the news came out about the letter. Okay, And
Yeah.
so what's it's almost as if these MAGA types. One of the things I've noticed is that they really like to eat each other. They'll go after whomever just so they can maintain power. And it don't matter if it's one of the,
Yeah.
they'll eat their own if they have to.
Well, and the influencers, and this is a curious thing too, how the legacy media is focused on right wing influencers, right? And the right wing influencers don't know which part of the MAGA movement they're hanging on to. They have to sort of pick, you know,
What's the definition today, right?
who they're going to hang on to, and you can't really be hanging on to the pedophile part.
Yeah, really, really, that. But
Yeah, yeah, I coined a word around this. I posted it on Facebook, and that's
yep,
pedophiliocracy.
yep. But you have to keep in mind that
You know,
Rupert
which
Murdoch has got the means, and he's got the money, in which and there's nothing that Trump can hold over him. And so,
right,
there, he's. It should be interesting to see how this turns out because Paramount, okay, I mean, she's just greedy, and
yes,
firing Colbert, and 10 to 1 says you're going to see the other late night hosts, with Kimmel and who's the
Fallon.
other one on NBC,
Well, you got Fallon, but there are more
Fallon.
than that. There's things like Myers,
Uh,
Seth
mm-hmm.
Myers, and on the other minor channels that are out there, and the Late Late Show
Yep.
type things.
But you've also seen the newscasts. I mean, quite honestly, I watch NBC now. I used to not watch NBC. I used to watch ABC or I'd watch CBS. Now I won't watch either one of them because of the fact that she's capitulating to this bozo for a president, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I won't. I'm going to cancel my Paramount subscription. Even though I love Star Trek, and everything.
I know yeah, I know
Yep.
and the new season just
Yes.
premiered. So
But
I'm stick. I hate to say it, I'm a hypocrite. I'm sticking through this season. The new
Yeah, but
season
that
three.
should be real easy.
So
You could get that over in a couple of days. I mean, it's one after the other. They got them all out there.
actually, they eventually end up on YouTube
Yeah.
anyway. But the
But the thing is, I don't. The Washington Post. I'm going to cancel my subscription to the Washington Post because of that.
can't do
Now,
that.
but you know what?
Well,
You know what you're going to see. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here. I think we're seeing an accumulation on the left of enough audience and of enough audience pool that you have another new kind of network emerge.
The independent
Like
news.
the
Yeah.
Maddow's and the Wallaces and then all the other associated. Now, that's just two.
You
I'm
and I
just
are on
throwing
the same
numbers out
page,
there.
my friend.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That there's somehow they have enough gravitas that they can put together a organization that is
Yes.
independent of the legacy,
Well,
of the corporate.
here's going to be the interesting thing, I think, and we're both on the same page, with this because I think what we're going to, how for years and years we kept seeing the smaller medias, the smaller newspapers, the smaller radio stations, the smaller TV stations get absorbed by these big
Right.
mass media companies.
Mostly right wing.
Well, and what's going to happen is you're going to see them just start to wither away because people aren't going to buy into their networks anymore. They're not going to be willing to pay for it all because they're not getting they're not getting any news because all of the really good reporters have said, "Screw you, we're leaving." And all this, and as they leave, what happens? You're going to start to see the independent news medias start to build up. So we're going to go from being small to big to being small again and having multiple news media out there. And a lot of it's going to be online. The problem we may have with it being online is that who owns most of the ways in which to get to the internet?
Well, I think right, right. There's the ISPs, and then there's Google and YouTube, which are the same.
Yeah.
Google and YouTube. The Google guy, the Alphabet guy, was there. That was there at the
Yes, he was
ceremony
at the
swearing
inauguration.
in.
Yes.
But he's a billionaire,
Hmm. Right.
1 billion.
1 billionaire. Yes.
he seems to be a little bit different than the other crew there. The other thing about that, just real quick, it almost as if the traditional billionaires told Trump, "You need to ring in the tech guys.
Yeah,
You need to ring them
yeah,
in." You know, yeah, they're too independent. You need to bring
yeah.
them in, and that's what happened to a certain extent. But yeah, the
Well, that's probably why Musk is out of
I
the
don't know what.
picture, huh?
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering if they're going to try to kill PBS and NPR. What happens if they, along with the MSNBC people, and then this the network, the Midas network type people, and then you have people like us who hope to be affiliated with some sort of network like that, and then it's not a stock traded company.
Yeah, huh?
That somehow it's not a stock traded company. It's an audience based. It's based on click.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Well, it's going to be, well, it'll be based
somehow
on
it's based.
subscriptions and clicks and, and all that.
Yeah,
I mean, the hope here is that you get enough people who subscribe, and listen. I mean, and they're free for us, for instance, it's a free subscription, and that. And so, but you get enough people, you get a big enough audience, out there. And I mean, we see the Midas Touch Network. Look at how those guys are growing. That and the vast majority of the people that listen to them, they do it free. Okay, but they're
right.
apparently they're getting enough in paid subscriptions, and they've been at it what since I think just after COVID started. So they've been at it for about 5 years now. And
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
my understanding is Trump and company are afraid of them, and they want to try to squash them as best they can.
Right, right. Well, that's what they've been. Yeah. Oh, I would include Colbert, and eventually, I don't know what's going to happen with Comedy Central and with
Yeah,
Jon
Jon
Stewart,
Stewart.
because that's
Yep,
all part of it.
yep. And
Yeah,
that and I see these guys, going that route, and that there's all kinds of different journalists who have left started their own. Because that's the neat thing about doing it online, like this, doing it, with streaming, is you can do it on
well,
your own. We're doing
yeah.
it, you know.
Well, and you have people from different backgrounds and expertise
Yeah,
coming in. They've been flooded with
yeah,
lawyers, and lawyers have never been this kind of publicly, this kind of venue. They were always, senior consulting, something like that comes in once in a while, that sits in at a desk at the networks, right? But now they have the
yeah,
programs,
yeah.
you know. Yeah, they're doing fantastic work. Informing the public. We just don't know the extent that they're being informed. We don't know who's being converted, and it's probably the beauty part is that it's hard to
Yes,
track.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Which is good. Which is good and bad. Only in the sense that it's good that they're hard to track because then government can't really figure out where they're at. All right, and it's bad in the sense because we can't show strength as well as we'd like to.
Right,
you know,
right.
and
But I think like today, talking about Epstein, because once there is something that they do not appear to be equipped to stop, like the Epstein topic. All of us need to be on board. I think with that to put our bid in, uh, throwing our spears
yeah.
over the wall.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, I think Tim,
yeah.
with that note, yeah, I
Thank you,
think we can
Rich.
wrap this up. As folks know, we've been talking about the Epstein case, and a lot of the things that we're seeing here. I think what we're demanding, and we're not going to really see, unfortunately, with this regime, in office, and that is that we want accountability. We don't want our kids trafficked out there, and I don't care who it is that's doing the trafficking. You know, they belong in jail. And my understanding, by the way,
Yep.
and probably the biggest thing that all of these guys are afraid of out there, excuse me for waving my hand around and everything, and but my understanding is that child molesters and those who beat kids and what have you, and they end up in prison, they're not treated very well by the other prisoners. They don't
No.
like that. They those guys will protect the kids. And so I think that a lot of that's what they're afraid of. They're also afraid they're going to lose, they're going to be out of power and all this sort of stuff. So, and that, but I think what what I hope to see happen, is that in 2026, we have a change in Congress. Because if this shit keeps going on like it has been, I think we're going to see a change in Congress. People have to keep in mind that right now, when they sit there and they're saying that we got a dictator in charge and all this sort of stuff. Well, you and I wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now if there was a dictator involved or in charge, and everything. So,
Well, if there was an efficient dictator, if there was an efficient
yeah.
dictator.
So basically, what we talked about here was Epstein, and the deal that was made, and the kind of impact it's having, and the kind of trouble that some people are going to get themselves into, with all this, and what they're trying to do to protect themselves, from it all. And so, what we have to do is to keep the heat on. And that hold the fire to their feet, and make sure that there's some means in which we can go after these people, and sooner rather than later. But we got to keep it. It's not a good thing what's going on. So, my name is Rich Carling. This is Two Grumpy Old Men, and
Tim
my partner
Bagwell?
is.
Tim Bagwell?
Thank you much. Have yourself a good day.